Leap of Fate podcast fans. Welcome to this week's episode with yours truly, Randy Silver. The Leap of Fate is around sharing adversity and overcoming any hardships in your life. However that may be, life lessons all go with it. This week, I have one of my childhood friends, Zack Weiss, on. If you recognize his name, he is a professional athlete playing in the minor leagues of baseball. He was in the MLB at one point. He's also been a co-founder of the Pros List, which is an online platform designated to connect athletes of all ages with high-quality professional training in their local area. As we know, not all athletes get that multi-million-dollar payday. A lot of them end up not even making it to the professional realm, so they have to find different jobs where they're able to finish college. Zach's always been a top athlete. He's got Zach went to UCLA for college. So obviously, he's very smart to be able to go to UCLA. He got his degree. He's also an NCAA champion. Let me say that one more time. He is an NCAA D1 champion in baseball, and he'll talk about that a little bit. And Zach's on to talk about the mentality of an athlete, what it takes, that grind day over day to make it in the professional league that's very cutthroat, and how he's able to diversify himself and start the pros list and have different things going on. So I'm really happy to have Zach on. I've been following his career. Obviously, we were friends growing up. So without further ado, Zach, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Randy. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well. We were just catching up before this, and you're saying that you got practice in a little bit at 1:00. So I think a great way to just start is like, what's a typical day for you as a professional athlete?
So in season, depending on game time, they're usually at 6 or 7. So you get in usually around like 5 hours before. And that gives you about an hour and 15 minutes of like prep time. I'm a pitcher, so we typically stretch, catch, run, get all our stuff out of the way before the position players get on the field to hit BP. And then obviously when you're home, you go first on that. So you get in earlier, get in, move around, get in the training room, whatever you got to do, go out, stretch, catch, get your running done. If you got to lift, you either can do it before or after. And then batting practice, you're out there to go shag for the hitters. And then there's usually a pretty good window between then and the game where you can get a meal, play some cards, maybe get back in the training room if you need to, kind of whatever you got to do to get ready for the game. Games at 6 or 7, usually that's a 3-hour, depending on where you're at. Maybe starting to creep towards 4 lately if there's been a few. And then when the game's over, get in, shower up. Fortunately, with the way baseball's kind of restructured now, in the minor leagues, we do get good meals at least. In the beginning, meals were pretty much on your own, and when they were provided, they were pretty ugly. And so we do have good meals after a game. And then since I've joined this team late, I'm here in Tacoma right now. I got here like 2 weeks into the season. I'm just living at a hotel. So I have a coffee maker and a microwave that we brought up. So for breakfast and stuff, and like scrambling some eggs in the microwave and making it work. But yeah, so usually it's a 1 to, I don't know, 11 day, maybe kind of like a backwards 10 hours.
And it's interesting you brought up like the food part, because, a lot of people think professional athletes, like the majors, they get everything. The minor leagues, it's not that good. And there's an article that came out a month ago from the A's organization where the guy had like a turkey sandwich and it looked disgusting and like it was nothing. And there was a lot of flack over it. So you obviously just brought up like it used to maybe not be good, now it's better. So how have you seen things change for you as you've gone through, say, UCLA, the minor leagues, the majors, and now back in the minors?
Yeah, I saw that, the Fire Fest food.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so at least even at UCLA, so we didn't have like, we'd get per diem when you go on the road, obviously, but we didn't have like meals provided. At UCLA now, they do have, they've invested in some of the nutrition for the guys, and they do have like a fueling station where they like provide guys with some gourmet meals, or at least, like a whole wheat bagels and fresh fruit and some things that are better staples just to kind of keep you going. I think nutrition in general in athletics has become, nutrition and sleep really in the last like 5 to 10 years, I feel like has really become the focus in a lot of places where you can just gain an advantage that was like kind of all we ever talked about was like get in the weight room and make it like a grinder mentality. And then people really undervalued recovery and the ability to perform. And so in professional baseball, when I got there, the food situation was bad. It was like peanut butter and jelly on the cheapest Wonder Bread you could buy, the store brand version of Wonder Bread. And then as we got a little bit better, I was with the Reds from 2013 to 2018. By the time we got to like AA, there was a meal prepared that was pretty good. And I played in Pensacola a lot, and they would use like the house catering. And so we would get a solid meal there. And that just made things so much easier. But I can remember being like in low A, we were playing in like Eastlake, I want to say. It's like the Cleveland Indians low A team. And we were staying at a Red Roof Inn right off the freeway. And the only thing across the street was a Burger King. And we didn't have like cars or any transportation aside from going to the field. And so we were eating like the Burger King grilled chicken sandwich like 9 times in a 3-game series. Like,
oh my God.
We like just didn't have options. And so it's nice now being afforded a meal before and after. And even in the clubhouse, there's usually something nutritious, whether it's like a mixed fruits and nuts, or this team here has a great salad bar. So that's been awesome. But yeah, it definitely varies place to place, but there has been an investment into that, at least. So we've been told. I don't know if some teams are a little slower than others, but there has seemed to be a transition into that.
Which is good, because obviously like what you put into your body is the energy you're gonna get out of it. And if you're eating Burger King 9 meals in 3 days, like you may not be able to perform at the level you need to be successful, which then gets you from grade A to AA to AAA and all that goes with it. So that's actually
the money is the biggest part. And so, to eat nutritiously on your own on the road, right? Like it's easy when you're cooking, but if you're in a hotel room or you're on the road, to go to the Whole Foods or to find a organic market or somebody that's making a complete meal for you, that's $15 to $20 a meal. And that's just not financially viable on first year minor league contracts. And so being able to at least have something that's, nutritious where you don't have to pay, because otherwise guys just won't do it. Right. It's just, you can't expect a guy who's making $1,500 a month to be committing $20 a meal.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's a good segue is like, can you talk about the mentality you had as in the minors? You're obviously on these teams, you want to be well, but at the same time, you may be competing with the same player for that spot on the next level, AAA or majors. So can you talk about what it's like to be on that grind and how you deal with it day over day?
Yeah, that point is something we talked about. Actually, it came up in a conversation recently in the bullpen, and somebody said the other day, talking about it happens more when you're younger because guys don't really have an appreciation for the system and how it works. You could be on a team with 25 guys, and if all 25 of you are really, really good, all 25 of you will find your way to the major leagues some way or another with different teams. The second you kind of view yourself and are rooting against your teammates, or like have this like, oh, it's me or him mentality, you're the one that's going to get buried mentally, because now you've deflected everything from yourself onto somebody else. And so I think usually I've been fortunate, and I've played on really fun minor league teams where everyone like truly is invested in just like having a good time and going about winning the right way. And the guys that aren't stand out, and they tend to, and it's not that mentality of me versus you in baseball. It's not football. It's like it is a me versus you game, but it's a long season. You play, even the minor leagues are 140 games. If you're going out there with this like, F him, F you, it's me, it's you, like all the time, you're going to wear yourself out. So it's really important in this game to just take care of your own business. You go about being very process oriented as opposed to being like super goal oriented, because that also can bury you. Why aren't I in AAA? Why aren't I in the big leagues? Like, second you start taking it away from your process and how you go about it, now everything's become external and nothing is internal.
Makes sense.
And so yeah, baseball kind of transitions a lot. So there's a lot of ways to get from one team to another outside of just, this is my 4th organization in 4 years. I've been released after 2018, after 2019, after 2020. And if you continue to like perform or show that you have value, you'll find jobs, even if it's not with your parent club.
Got it. And can you talk about that? That's a great point. You're this like you do podcasting, so this is a great segue. You know what you're doing. Is you're on a team, and one day you can just get cut, or at the end of the season, like, hey, we don't need you anymore. Thank you for being here. Mentally, how do you deal with that? And what's the next step for you to say, okay, maybe I'll throw myself a pity party for a day, but then I'm gonna get back on the mound, pitch, and I know that another team will be calling for me, hopefully.
Yeah, so I'll just take you through a little bit kind of how my path to here
Please.
got, and each time was definitely a little bit different emotionally. The first time I got released was at the end of 2018. I had gotten to the big leagues very, very briefly that year with Cincinnati, and had a terrible one outing in the major league, and then 5 outings later in AAA, had an oblique injury that really kind of just derailed my season. I wasn't very good when I came back. The oblique is like a muscle that just takes forever to heal, and it's always kind of naggy, and it really impacted like my mechanics and how I was doing things. And so I came back. I wasn't very good. And then I finally was kind of going good again. I had a collision at home plate and it got hurt again. And so it was just like this, just really unfortunate timing. And so I ended up getting released because of a kind of baseball rules. I was on the 40-man roster. They wanted my spot. So at the time, it wasn't like, hey, you stink, you're gone. It was just like, this is how the game works at this time, but there's going to be an opportunity in the end. So, and that was fine with me. I ended up having an opportunity to sign with Minnesota that next offseason very quickly. That wasn't a super stressful thing. I was just kind of disappointed with how the season had gone and how, failing in the grandest of ways had gone.
Yeah, can I just interrupt really quick? Just as a side note, as someone who has grown up with you, and I played Little League with Zach, our dads were coaches together on the same team. And Zach always had that if factor. So from an outside perspective, seeing him realize his dreams and like him being in the pros and watching him pitch, it maybe didn't go the way he thought, but like it was so cool to see that from someone from your hometown to do it. And I know we all looked up to you for that. So like, even though it didn't go your way, like we love you. And like, it was amazing to see you achieve your dreams with that.
I appreciate it. I've been very fortunate to be a part of a really good community that we grew up in, where a lot of people reach out to me and my family and have been very supportive this whole time. And I've got a lot of people in my corner, which has been very cool to go through this process with that whole big family community network. But so after 2018, the first time I got released, it was fine. I signed with a new club. I was excited for a new opportunity. I wanted to try something different. And then that year, I just wasn't very good, man. 2019, I was just pretty bad. And so I found myself back in AA in Pensacola. I'd been there in 2015 and 2017 and a little bit in 2018 with the Reds. That offseason, they had flipped organizations. So they now belong to the Twins. And so then I find myself back there in 2020 with a new org, playing with kids who were in high school the first time I was here. And I just wasn't very good. I ended up getting released out of there. And that one kind of stung. I kind of knew it was coming because I was an older guy, not playing very well. And then I went and played indie ball for a month. I couldn't get a job with an affiliated club. So I went to the Atlantic League in New York, which is a good place to play. And a lot of guys on my team were either had a lot of major league time who were kind of just in the same boat. Maybe you'd had a bad year or you'd aged out of wherever they felt that you should be.
Can you explain indie ball really quick, the difference between that and the minor leagues for people?
Yeah. So the minor leagues are basically, AAA, AA, high A, low A, and a rookie ball. What you've heard of, and it means you're owned by a parent club. One of the 30 major league clubs holds your rights and is paying your salary. There are these independent leagues across the country: the Frontier, the Atlantic, the American, and these leagues are independently run and owned, and they're basically just money makers for their communities. Their focus is not about developing major league talent. Their focus is on winning baseball games and bringing people to the yard in their local community. So but what they do, they are scouted by professional clubs still, because there's a lot of guys who are very good at baseball, and when they get bounced, they need a place to go. So I went to the Atlantic League. I wasn't very good. Again, I was just bad in 2019. And wasn't getting out of there, and was just really having no fun with the game. It was the first time that I didn't want to go to the field. I'm trying to get better, and I feel like I'm not getting better, and it just wasn't going very good for me. And I don't want to say I ever questioned whether or not I wanted to keep playing. It was more of dude, what happened to the dude who was so much better a year ago?
Yeah, mentally.
And yeah, and I knew like talent wise, it wasn't that I was hurt. I was healthy. I was fine. I just like I think I was mentally in a bad spot and mechanically in a bad spot. And then I got a very unique opportunity to go play with Team Israel in the Olympic qualifiers at the end of that season. And I went into that knowing that I wasn't at my best, but knowing that the initial competition we were going to be playing wasn't quite at the level that I'd just been playing at. So if I could just be a basic level of myself and not mess myself up, I could have some success here.
Yeah, understand
And so I got to go out there, and all of a sudden, man, it was just like I did not. Like we talked about in the minors, everything is so individual, right? It's like, how can I get up? How can I get up? And you got to be a part of the team, and you want to be rooting for the guys. But it's your life, it's your career. And all of a sudden, joining this Team Israel group of guys, which was like part major leaguers, part guys working other jobs, part dudes who like Israeli, natural born Israelis. It was just like a mishmash of dudes who we'd all gotten to know each other a little bit over the previous few years, playing together in Germany and Italy, and everything individual just went out the window. It was all I cared about was that this team won. I didn't care. I could give up 7 home runs, and if we won 8-7, sick. And
yeah,
it was such a breath of fresh air to like not be killing myself mentally and not being upset with myself and literally just caring about winning with these dudes who only also cared about winning. And that's like a very, that happens in college, but for minor league baseball, it just really, it doesn't, because it's such an individualized game,
Yep.
If you go 0-4 and you guys put up 10 runs, like it doesn't always feel that good when it's your career, but in college or in a tournament setting like this, when all you care about is winning, you can shake that and move on to the next day way easier.
I get that completely.
Yeah. So that was a really cool experience. And I think something that I personally really needed to like bring back just like my love of playing in that time. And then obviously getting to represent Israel and being a part of something so grand was like, I'd never gotten to wear, USA across my chest as a kid.
Yeah.
And getting to
representing your nation. So cool. Like that's like going to the Olympics and like being one of those few people that you made it there.
Right. Getting to represent Israel almost gave us like a more unique, different perspective on it, because it was something that, like being a Jew in America my whole life, but having like had this connection and family that had gone to Israel, it almost felt like bigger, because if my great grandparents who came to the US had seen that like that was even an opportunity for me to do and represent Israel, would be like, something that they couldn't even fathom.
Yeah. Did Israel
So
find you for the team, or did you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm allowed to play for y'all?
Yeah, so I actually don't know the exact answer how it got started. I don't remember. John Moscott, a really good friend of mine with the Cincinnati Reds, was already in contact and going to play with them, and so I think he may have brought me up, or they reached out. I don't remember exactly how it started.
Got it.
But yeah, so that kind of got my love and back to baseball, and then 2020 started. Was able to get a job with the Indians for spring training, and COVID hit, and I got released because there was no season. So then I was like, all right, well, this one's not even really my fault. Like, it's not like I was sucking. I didn't even get a chance to suck yet. But yeah, so that the 2020 COVID grind was very tough. Just like not getting paychecks. All of a sudden, we're getting married. I had an apartment. Like, it was just like, I don't have a move here. Obviously, I know that happened to a lot of people, and my situation was obviously comfortable. I'm not like, belittling that, but just like, I'm going to sit a year out of the game while other people are playing. It makes it harder to get back in, especially coming off of a bad 2019.
Yep, exactly. And, and then sitting there, as you said, like, I'm 28, you're 29, you're above me. You're now playing with people who are coming out of high school, college, a little bit younger. It's like, okay, my time's starting to pass up a bit. How much longer can I be here to compete with people younger, even if I have more experience than they do at this point?
100%. And so that's exactly what you're describing is like the biggest fear. So even though you think you're still really talented, I think I did a really good job of taking that opportunity to just improve. So all of the stuff that I was dealing with the year before, and even the pitcher I had been that had, done really well and gotten to the major league, I kind of just I retooled a lot mechanically, mentally, physically, kind of trained a little differently. My pitching style and what I was really focused on changed a lot. I think partly because I knew what baseball wanted. Like baseball has become very metrically inclined, and so I knew that focusing on teams really kind of do really well at what you're really good at has kind of become more the focus, I feel like, as opposed to trying to throw 4 pitches for strikes and command all portions of the zone, like kind of old school baseball. Baseball's really become
Moneyball.
You throw hard. Yeah. If you throw hard, throw hard. If you throw a good slider, throw a good slider. And so I tried to just get really good at what I was doing. And then I did have to get pretty deep into some meditation and some headspace stuff, and try and reading some books and the mindful athlete and some of these other psychological focus things, just because I think I was just kind of grinding. You don't have an outlet. There was nowhere for me to compete. I'd competed my whole life, and all of a sudden I didn't have that. And you can go to the field and play catch with your buddy and train and go to throw bullpens at facilities and get a lift in at the place I train. You can do all that every day. But at the end of the day, all that is prep work for competition.
Yep.
And when there's no competition for so long, it just kind of feels like you're spinning your wheels. I'm getting better, but am I? I don't know. Nobody cares that you trained really well. They care that you can get people out. And yeah. I don't know if what I'm doing translates. I think it should, but I don't know that.
That's a good point. That the opposite end of that is obviously when people retire from the sport, they're like, oh my God, I've been doing this every day of my life. I don't have that competition anymore. I don't know what to do. That's why people sometimes when they retire, they're send their thumbs, or they go back and they try to come back in the sport. You're the opposite end of it, is I am competing, I'm ready to go, but I don't know if I can prove myself at this point yet.
Right. So, and I knew that I wasn't done. I still felt like as I was improving, I knew I was getting better, and I knew that I was better than the guy that got to the big leagues. I just hadn't had a chance to show it yet. And so that's kind of the mindset I went into this season with. But again, I couldn't get a job for spring training this year. And so I had to go back to indie ball with the American Association in Kansas City to start the year. The major league season started April 1st, and that season I didn't even get there till May 5th or something. And so you're already, again, season's a month and a half in, this stinks kind of thing. But fortunately I was there. I had one outing, and the Mariners needed some help and needed some guys. So I was able to get out of there and sign here, which has been awesome. And I think has been an opportunity that I feel super grateful to have, because I didn't know that it was going to come, but also one that's pretty satisfying for me, because I feel like I had to work pretty hard to get here.
I feel that. And then I want to touch on that in a second, but I have a question that popped in my head. Is you talked about moving in 4 years, 4 times. And obviously you said you're getting married. How's the toll on that on your personal relationships with having to bounce around, find hotels, where to stay? Does your wife or fiance still moving with you, or is she at one spot, you have to talk over Zoom, things like that? That's a side of sports that we don't think about, and the personal side that you deal with as an athlete.
Yeah. So we ended up getting married in November, so this was the first time. We're in Tacoma right now. Since she's been remote, she's actually been with me for the last 3 weeks, and we're going on the road Wednesday to Vegas. So she'll be in Vegas with us too. And that's been awesome. This is the most time we've spent together in a baseball season ever. We have a hotel room here. She's working downstairs, but that's been really, really nice. But yeah, that is a grind. I thought this is, I guess, pretty personal, but it's fine. In 2000, we got engaged going into 2019 season. I guess I should know the answer to that, but yeah, 2019 season. We were engaged for a year and a half. And so I kind of thought that doing that would make things easier and be obviously I wanted to get married, but I kind of thought it would be hey, look, this sucks. I'm gone all the time. You work full time, so it's not like you're able to travel and be around. And so I thought it would make it more of like a comforting, like, hey, at least know we're in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just made it a little bit more challenging because now it was like, well, I really want to be with that person more than I'm getting to be. And
Mm.
so that, it was, I think, the satisfaction of knowing that we loved each other and we're going to get married, but the challenge of, man, there's kind of certain things that you hope are happening in your life with your fiance in your first year of engagement that we're just not being able to do. So, but Tiana, my wife, is incredible, and she's done a really, really good job of never like making it be her or this, or pressuring me in any way to make, to challenge me to find, to support us or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've been super fortunate to have her. And so it's been nice. That is obviously the biggest challenge. But I've, at least for the last 2 weeks, it's been really cool having her be here.
Yeah, and then you talked about the mentality part of it and like meditation, and like you were down the dumps, not doing good. I'm sure having her as your crutch to talk to at night or be there for you, like really helped you with your mental state of talking through what you're doing and how can you improve yourself, because you have her to help you with that, versus if you're solo and you don't have anyone there and you're in a hotel room by yourself in a random city in the middle of Kansas City, you're like, what am I doing?
Big time. No, she was, having her. I also, we kind of talked about my family a little bit. I'm very supported, and I'm very fortunate to have a really, really good network of people around me. But yeah, no, she's been a rock for me.
Awesome. I love that. And is there anything else just around your career with Israel, UCLA, baseball that you want to talk about? If not, I would love to move to the pros list.
Yeah, we can. I was just going to say, so we qualified for the Olympics in 2019. So we are going in about a month,
Which is
which will be cool. Yeah,
Seattle's gonna let you go.
I think so.
You heard it here first.
A lot of guys. I haven't had a super formal conversation, but we have other guys on the team who are playing on the U.S. and on the Dominican, and they just left for qualifiers. So I think they should be good with it.
Yeah, because from their perspective, if like say like 10 people from the team are leaving, like what are they going to do to compete themselves? So like I'm sure they will hopefully respect the fact of what playing for your nation means, and they will let you go.
Another Team Israel teammate actually is on this team with me in Tacoma, so I think we should be good.
I also think I forgot to mention that in the intro, so I apologize that you're about to play for Israel Olympics. So what's that feeling like of knowing in 1 month you're going to be walking in Japan around the ring when they do the opening ceremony, and you're going to be wearing the Israeli colors, fighting for a gold medal?
Yeah, no, I think I'm very excited. It's an interesting opportunity that like baseball is just not like an Olympic sport typically. It's has been in the past, right? But
like in a long time.
2008 maybe, yeah, in a long time. And so it's kind of funny, people are like, "Oh, did you dream of being an Olympian?" It's like, no, not at all. Like I played baseball, not gymnastics. But the fact that it's like in the games this year and Israel qualified, which is like, for those who are like unaware, like Israel baseball has like, they had a professional league for like a year in 2007, but it is not a huge game in that country. Like they play basketball and soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do in the Olympics, they do well in like judo, some weightlifting. But it's not their game. So I think we're the first team to represent Israel in the Olympic Games since I want to say like 1974. Is that an Olympic year? 78. Somewhere in, it's been a long time since Israel has sent a team. And so what makes it cool, I think, is there's been two of our players were born in Israel, played at UC San Diego. And one is like in his 40s. Another one is a coach in the Mariners organization. Two of our players are Israeli kids who just got done with their service time in the military and are playing at colleges in the United States now. And then the rest of us are a lot of American Jews who have made Aliyah. And while we kind of caught a little bit of heat for it because people don't think that's like a legitimate thing, a lot of Olympic countries do this. But what it's done, at least for those who can like look past the like, hey, you're not a natural born Israeli citizen, is one, it's afforded us an opportunity to kind of have an appreciation for this country that exists solely to like for people like us who maybe didn't have a place 60 years ago.
Yep.
And so to be able to have a place that like allows you to essentially come home and provide you with a community and a chance to represent them on a world stage in such a positive light when things aren't always so positive in that region of the world.
Yep.
I think is a really cool opportunity. It can kind of be like a, I don't want to say like an olive branch or something cliche like that, but it at least allows us to use sports and use baseball, which is like a beloved American game that's growing in Israel, to try to combine into this like just like something positive. It's been a tough, challenging few weeks for it's been a challenging existence, but it's been a challenging time in that international discussion. And so I think it's cool to try to make things, at least I know sports aren't like, I'm not saying this is like problem solving, but at least it's something positive and can be a good like communal experience when traveling. But it'll be interesting, man. I've never, representing a country that isn't necessarily loved by all of the world will be an interesting experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you represented the USA, we're definitely not loved by all the world as well.
Yeah, same. Right. I guess that probably goes for everyone.
Yeah.
And
so I think you made a good point there. And again, you guys can tell Zack is very well educated. The way he said that was very, very good. Is like, what happened the past month, 2 months, 3 months, Israel, the whole conflict with Palestine and Israel. And we're not going to get into it. That's not the point. But like sports can be a connector to bring people together. And as we've seen throughout history. So I have one more question about the Olympics, and then we'll talk about the pros list. With the whole COVID restrictions going on, is there anything specific that you guys need to do or what they're planning to keep you guys safe there? And the second part of that question is, can your family come out and watch you with everything going on as well?
Yeah, so no international spectators. I don't even know if they've made a decision on Japanese spectators.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, no, my parents, Tiana, nobody can come, which is a bummer. But I don't know. As far as restrictions, I think we're going to be, I would imagine we're pretty, I don't want to say quarantined, but pretty like, I don't know if we're going to be able to like, go out to dinner in Tokyo kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's going to work. Because it's been so fluid, I really have done with these kinds of situations, I've done like no planning. I'm going to just go in where I'm told.
I'm going to show up and show out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here to play. So I realize this time around might not be my, trip to Tokyo that maybe I need to go back as a tourist at another time. But yeah, so I don't know. I just know that my family and will not be there.
Got it. Well, that's a bummer. Definitely we'll make sure we have the cable package showing Israel Olympics though.
Yeah, I think the first game we play is the US, and I think it's at like 3 a.m. or Pacific time. So I don't know if NBC will cover it or what that'll be on, but at least we should be on since we're playing the US and the States. I'm sure we'll get coverage.
Yeah,
so.
Good thing for DVR right there.
Yeah, exactly. You're not gonna wake up for that, man. Come on.
I apologize for that. I apologize. Unless I stay out, and I'll stay up for it. Either or, depends what day of the week.
Then, hopefully it's a Saturday.
I hope so too. Then as we round third base here, the pros list, again, is something that you helped co-found. Love to give you the opportunity to talk about it, and let's have some dialogue around it, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, so this was something that kind of during COVID, we were, I needed something to do, but that's not why we started this. It was like, I was presented with this idea by a buddy of mine who works as an agent, and his whole kind of job is connecting people with services. So a lot of clients will ask, where should I be working out? Or younger high school kids, do you have a nutritionist for my son? Or whatever it may be. And so a lot of this was done, like, it really got exacerbated during COVID because we couldn't find, who provided what services where, or was anyone open outside, or whatever the solution was going to be. It got this, like, the problem of finding a service got really exacerbated. But even for myself, kind of growing up in Orange County, like, I had made my decisions, and Orange County is like a baseball hotbed, right? I had made my decisions on who to train with, where to throw, all these things kind of based on just like word of mouth. They're like, once I got done at UCLA, like I needed a place to go, and I saw this guy on Instagram who I liked his workout, so I went. But like, I didn't really know if that was the best fit for me. This is 2 to 3 years into a professional career, like, and I'm making decisions like that, like, and that seems silly to me to say. It's worked out. I still train with the guy. I really like him, but
I get what you're saying.
But like that was how I was making these decisions. And so I think we wanted to build something that wasn't like, there were other options out there where you could like buy packages, and they were like basically intermediaries for coaches and gyms and stuff. That was not what we wanted to do at all. We wanted to be like a Yelp for athletics. We wanted this to be like a reviewed thing. People could have their listing, explain their services, who are their alumni, who do they train, maybe provide you with a sample workout, kind of so that you could find any service locally. So there's a few names that dominate the market online as far as like remote training, or people that maybe there's like 4 gyms across the country people go to. But for just like the average 12-year-old in your community, like, where should I go to hit? Excuse me. Should I hit at this gym? Should I hit at that place? Whose philosophy might line up with mine? What do I like? Excuse me. And so I think it was our goal was just basically to provide information. I don't think there was like, if the best hitting coaches might be 60 years old and guy doesn't know how to use Instagram, so how am I going to find him?
Yeah, or go to Boomers, go batting cages.
Right. Well, if you type batting cage into Google, that's what shows up.
Yeah, that's not the right place for an athlete to go to, of course.
Right. And so our whole goal was basically just to provide people with good information in a very easy, searchable way. And we wanted it to be done so that a 9-year-old could find his new hitting coach, but we also wanted it to be done so that a professional guy who needs to throw a bullpen while he's in Orlando at a wedding can find a facility that has a Rapsodo, which is a baseball piece of tech, and get on camera so that he can send it to his major league club who's asking him in the offseason, how are your bullpens going? Like, we wanted that to be used by everyone. And so we made it searchable by tech features, and we're continuing to add to the site. In our next little iteration here, when you run your search, they'll tell you like an ideal client age so that people can quickly, mentally check people off the list if they're trying to work with pros in year 9, or if, so, but we kind of just wanted it to be a better, like, Yelp just doesn't, we built the profiles designed for sports. Yelp was too generic, combining restaurants or whatever. And they kind of do this, Angie's List or other websites. The idea is not so novel, but it just hadn't been applied to our world yet. And so that's our goal, is to continue to grow this. Right now, the focus is on baseball and softball, and we started it in Southern California because that's just kind of where we are. But ideally, this is, something that runs nationwide, and you can find whatever service you need wherever, and have it be reviewed and rated, and see a little bit before you make a commitment to somebody.
I love that. And like, again, like, you're showing your entrepreneur mindset. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to re-say that. I apologize. You're showing your entrepreneur mindset going on. I apologize. I don't know if you guys can hear this in the background. There's construction going on in my apartment building, so I've been trying to put myself on mute. So if you hear that, I apologize. And it threw me off for a second. But let me ask you this question. How have you seen the reception of it? You talked about building it up, obviously starting in SoCal. What's worked, what hasn't worked, and how you continue to make it better? You talked about making sure you can put some ages in there, but have you really seen the reception you guys were hoping?
We've gotten very positive feedback. Pretty much everyone we talk to is like, oh, this is great. This is great. Now, obviously, you've worked at a smaller startup too. Getting adoption is the challenge, like getting people to actually make the connection on your website, as opposed to just like check out your website, be like, oh, this is a cool idea, and move on. And we're pretty bootstrapped. This is like, I'm playing and running it. So it's not like I'm able to commit, 12 hours a day to this project right now. But I think it's something that with our little founder team, we should be able to continue to grow it with where we are in the game. And I think, ideally someday we can get some real funding and kind of blow this out. We're still at this growth stage where we don't, we're just a little limited. But I think the reception we've received, at least, has been very positive. And we have made connections. Like, people have emailed through the website and found new hitting coaches based on being able to search through our platform, which obviously as somebody who's, started something, that's a very satisfying feeling. Like the service worked.
And
So
if you can just change one person's life for the better, and you get that email saying, "Hey, because of you, I found a new coach, and I went 2 for 2 in my game on Monday because of the things you taught me," then like you're successful, and that's all that matters.
right, 100%. So would it be, obviously we'd love for this to be the next Yelp, but at least in the meantime, while we're growing it in its earliest stages, it's cool to get some positive feedback from people who have used the service, found something positive. And I personally have done some podcast episodes where we put out content with some really, really high quality professional trainers and people in that tech space. And, Becky Twombly, who's the Angels nutritionist and Lakers nutritionist. Registered dietitian. I messed that up, but those are two different things. But it's just like, it's been cool. And I think what we've provided, we also have done some Instagram lives with major leaguers who have offered interesting insight into what they've done in their career or something they've changed that's been super positive for them. So, I think the content we've put out and the platform itself I've been hit up a couple times where I've like I was at a facility a few weeks ago, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, are you the guy that does the pros list?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, I really enjoy. I wanted to let you know I don't really follow that many people on Instagram of just like baseball, but your content has been like actually impactful." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. That's that felt very cool."
Yeah, and then that's exactly the same type of thing for my podcast. So someone's like, "Yo, the content you put out is really good. Yo, the message helped me like motivate myself." Like it makes it so rewarding. And so it's awesome to hear.
100%.
And
100%.
I'll have all the links in the bio, but just so you can say it verbally, if people want to follow you or the pros list, how can they follow you?
My personal handles are Zack Weiss 32. And then the pros list is the pros list, TheProslist. And then the website is www.theproslist.com.
Awesome. So everything will be in the bio. Zack, as we get round third, steal home here, use the baseball analogy. Any last words for the Loft fans?
No, I've known you since we were really young. We played Little League together. So it's really cool to see the success you've had. I think it's very awesome how candid you've been telling your story.
Thank you.
And I love the hair, man. Keep going.
Almost at 2 years. I got about 2 years no haircut, and I'm at 22 months, so I'm pretty close. Nice. So my recap is I think Zack shows perseverance and he shows a can't quit attitude. We all have the dream of trying to get to the pros. He got to the pros, didn't work out the way he thought, and he's staying on it. He stick with it. He's tried to change something in him, his mechanics, his mentality, dietitian, nutrition, whatever it may be. And through all of it, he has a smile and he's happy with what is going on. Of course, we all want to have the multi-million contract, be a millionaire, but he's living the dream. If I could play a sport every day and be out there 1 to 11 in the baseball, watching baseball, things like that, like that is a dream of mine. So for him to do it and be able to see someone from Irvine, California, who went to my middle school, my high school, our dads played softball together, we played baseball together as well, like to see what he's doing is gratifying to know that he's being successful and as his friend. I really enjoy it. So I think you should sorry, please continue.
I do want to say one more thing is like kind of with everything, if you don't really want to do it or you don't think you can do it, you definitely shouldn't do it because it is like a big time commitment that requires a lot of sacrifice. And, you do have to put yourself out there. But the reason I'm still doing this is because I think I can be a major leaguer, and I love playing, but it's because of that being the end goal. And so I guess that would be like my tip of advice to people is like, if you're going to commit to something, it takes up way too much of your time to half-ass it, So that would be my advice. Just like, if you're going to go for it, for sure, go for it,
Love it. I think that's a great way to end the podcast. Everyone out there, Leap of Faith fans, please do go like, subscribe, follow Apple, Spotify, YouTube, however you're listening to this or watching it. Thank you so much. Please go follow Zack in the pros list. Again, everything will be in the bio. So Zack, we're going to do the sign off. So I would like you to repeat after me. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
And have a good week, fans. Deuces.
This is.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, you say deuces. I think you said deuces.